Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Lacey Long, and today we're making a really fun entree. I'm calling it Prussian vegetable pie, and it's a really fun spin on one of my favorite recipes growing up. My mom wasn't much of a cook, but what she did make was always very good, and this is a spin on her classic Russian vegetable pie. Start off with, make sure you get your Phildelphia cream cheese out and ready because we want it to soften. It doesn't need to be overly soft, don't leave it out all day, but just at the beginning of cooking so that by the time you need to use it, it's good and spreadable. The other thing we're going to do is preheat our oven to 430 degrees. So go ahead and get that ready. And last but not least, amongst our first steps, what we need to do is get our puff pastry dough ready. Our puff pastry dough typically comes in a box of 2 sheets like this, and each sheet will be about 3 folds of dough. So what I did was I used the first sheet and I just cut that in half, and what we're doing is taking each section and just pressing it into the dish. And this, it looks really great because it is homemade, so don't worry if this isn't perfect. What I'm going to do is just cut this into strips so we can use them all around our dish. Just lining it as we go. We want to get a little bit of an edge because we are going to make sure that we can press the top of our pie in. So just go ahead and play with it. This is kind of fun if you have kids. They might want to participate in this step, and that'll make it all the more delicious. A good rule of thumb when you're doing this is to use 2/3 of your portion to cover the bottom of your dish and the final third to reserve for the top crust of sorts. Another good idea is to go ahead and spray each of your dishes before you load up the puff pastry dough. It'll just come out a little bit easier, make cleanup a little more fun. With our dough work out of the way, we can get started on our filling, which is basically exclusively vegetables. This is a great vegetarian dish. What I'm going to do is take the cabbage and just cut it into slices. We want to get them pretty thin so that they'll saute nicely with some onion, which is what we'll be cutting up next. Our cabbage is all sliced up, and now I'm just prepping our onion. And once we're done with that, we can go ahead and get our ingredients on the stove to saute. Just slice your onions up in pretty thin slices. Treat it as though you would be caramelizing these. Okay, we're back. Our onion is sliced, our cabbage is sliced, and we're ready to start cooking. I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons of butter and approximately 1 tablespoon of olive oil to our large saute pan. This will all cook down nicely, but it's still good to start with plenty of room so it can all get to the heat. And I like to do this in layers, so what I'm going to do is pop the onions in first, and then once that's cooked down a little bit and I've broken up the pieces, then we can add our cabbage. After the cabbage is broken down a little bit, then we'll add our spices. And I just do that because you don't want one of the little pies to have too much onion or too much cabbage. You want to make sure you get a nice mix of everything. Looks like our cabbage is cooking down nicely. I went ahead and added that once our onions had broken up a little bit. The last step before we can get started on our other ingredients is to add our spices. We're using about half a teaspoon of marjoram, thyme, and rosemary, and of course salt and pepper. Okay everyone, our onions and cabbage are well on their way to cooking up, and now we're going to prep our mushrooms. Today I'm using baby portobellos because I like their nice meaty texture. And a little fun trick that I learned, my Nana was in town this weekend and she watched me prepping some mushrooms and she said, "Ooh, are your mushrooms ever tough?" And I said, "Yeah, they kind of are. They're never exactly where I want them to be." Turns out you're not supposed to wash mushrooms. So she showed me that you can just take a damp cloth and brush the tops, get all the dirt off, but keep your mushrooms moist and dry on the inside. So there you go. That's my little trick from Nana to all of you. To finish prepping these, all we're going to do is cut off the ends, and then we just want to get a nice rough chop in. I'm quartering them. For bigger ones, you can even cut your quarters in half. We just want to get a dice. That's all. And then we're going to saute these in some olive oil. Okay, our mushrooms are chopped up, and I added about a tablespoon of olive oil, or about once around the pan. So we're going to pop these into our medium pan, frying pan, and once they're almost done, about 5 or 6 minutes, we're just going to add about 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and let that cook off, and that'll just really infuse our mushrooms with a rich, deep flavor. Okay, our onion and cabbage mixture is all done. See that beautiful wilting and caramelization? That's exactly what we're looking for. So our baby bellas are sizzling up nicely, and we can start prepping our hard-boiled eggs. I'm using some Easter eggs actually, and that's the great thing about this recipe. After Easter, you have all of these hard-boiled eggs, and you can only make egg salad so many times before that gets a little old. And that's what I like about this, is we're using our hard-boiled eggs. So this is a great dish to make right after Easter. What I'm doing is I'm taking one of our pre-deshelled eggs, and I'm just slicing it up because I don't happen to own an egg slicer. But that is the perfect tool for this. You just want to get some nice thick slices in, and I'll show you how we use those next. So what we're doing is we're taking about 1 ounce slices of our cream cheese and just spreading that into the bottom of our puff pastry dough, or our Prussian veggie pie dough. And once that's spread out nice and smoothly, what we're going to do is put in our second layer, which is our hard-boiled egg. So we just want to layer that in little slices, and from there we can add our other ingredients. When our mushrooms look to be about this brown, we're going to take our balsamic vinegar and add it in. Again, that's about 2 tablespoons, and we're going to cook this down on high heat until it's most of the liquid is gone. So now that our cabbage mixture is done and we're almost ready with our mushrooms, we're just going to layer in a good, what would be a handful of your cabbage mixture, but you don't want to add too much because you won't have any room for your mushrooms. Now that our cabbage is in and our mushrooms are done, we can add those to our pie. We'll use about 1/4 of the pack of mushrooms, and then we can layer on our strips of dough. I just like doing this in strips across so that we have sort of lines going all the way across our pie. However, if you prefer, you are more than welcome to do a crisscross pattern or whatever you think will look prettiest and your family will enjoy the most. Once this is all together, what we can do is take a slightly beaten egg, just a little wash, and we're just going to brush over the surface of our puff pastry dough so that it gets a crispy texture on the outside. After we filled these up, we went ahead and popped them in the oven for about 10 minutes, and again our oven was preset to 430. What we're going to do now is take some tin foil and just put that over the top of our pies because we don't want them to get burnt on the top, but we want to make sure the bottom cooks thoroughly. We'll pop these in the oven for another about 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to eat. I also want to mention, when I fill them up, I had a little bit of extra of the cabbage mixture. That's totally fine. You never know how wilty it gets, and it's a really good snack for later in case you don't have enough with one pot pie. I'll pop these in, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Our Prussian veggie pies are out of the oven, and they are piping hot. So now I'm going to give it a taste test. Wow. So good, and it really reminds me of the pie that my mom used to make. It's really delicious. I'm sure you're gonna love it. This is Lacey Long wishing you peace, love, and all things tasty. See you next time.